Mr. Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Donaldson.
Here.
Mr. Gottner.
Here.
Mr. Tackett.
Here.
Mr. Best.
Here.
Mr. Wayman.
Here. Please rise and pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Motion for the minutes of 9/21/16, regular session.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
And a second, please.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on minutes? Additions and deletions? Therefore, roll call, please.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Donaldson.
Yes.
Mr. Gottner.
Yes.
Mr. Tackett.
Abstain.
Mr. Best.
Yes.
Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Okay, I guess we'll turn it over to Joanne for the bills and the payrolls.
All right, our bills from September 15, 2016 to October 13, bills were $84,744.34. Our payroll was $178,490.68, a total of $263,235.02. And in reference to the bills, in payment listings, you will see one void that says medical mutual, and instead of put medical mutual in, and if you flip it over, it actually should have been for Mills or Mills.
Okay, any questions for Joanne concerning the bills and payrolls? Okay, looking for a motion there for the bills and payroll. A second, please.
I'll second it.
Very good. No further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Donaldson.
Yes.
Mr. Gottner.
Yes.
Mr. Tackett.
Yes.
Mr. Best.
Yes.
Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, we're turning it back over to Joanne for the September 2016 financial report.
All right, we started in September with $1,203,490.01. Our revenue was $644,073.95. Our year-to-date was is $3,127,916.43. Our month-to-date expenditures again was $260,786.07. Our year-to-date expenditures is $2,561,252.44. Our ending balance for starting October was $1,586,777.89. We spent 60% of our budget for our general fund, and our EMS, we spent 62% of our budget.
It's tracking good in the ninth month. That's coming to 10th month. Third quarter expired.
Yes, we should be at 70%.
Is that right? Very good. Carryover is good. Okay, any questions on the financial report for Joanne?
You want to touch down on the overtime? Or you go to track?
And our overtime total through September is $86,644.14. And some of this is a result of a fire and the holiday on there. And the total hours is 2,456.8 hours. Compared to last year in September, we had, our wages was $91,070.67. Hours were 2,983.
I would like the board to know that probably October and part of November, you'll see a little bit of overtime in there because I'm sending some of the newer kids that we just hired along with one of our officers to a training fire in Harpersfield. So they'll be gone for probably a whole day of training. So you'll see that. So I'll let you know now.
Okay. And just one thing also that is kind of a false here, we also don't have the transfers any longer, so we don't have any overtime with that going into this, so only going to have to put an asterisk next to this year that there's a whole bunch of different things going on here as make it so we can average it here. questions? We will move to the opening public portion. No? Nobody? Okay, super. Committee reports?
There's only one committee that's gearing up to get ready, and I sent out an email. I've got one person response back so far. Need one more person who wants to sit on the healthcare. That's all I got in the committee report.
Very good. Any old business to come before the board? Nobody? Okay, I guess the repairs, I guess it would be old business, but kind of new, the repairs on the Octagon and the traffic lights, that's all.
That was just an anomaly.
Yeah, I know, but they're all taken care of, it's old business, it was passed and fixed, it's all done, right?
Yeah, Chief Shaman had Prairie come out to get the one in Middle Ridge and 528 repaired.
Okay. New business, and it looks like we'll turn it over to Stacy.
Before the board tonight is resolution number 16-22. This is a resolution accepting a donation from the Madison Firefighters Association, the amount of $500 for the purpose of purchasing smoke detectors.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, second, please.
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. And any other discussion we had?
What happens to those?
What's that?
What happens to those? What happens to the purchase with the smoke detectors?
Well, they go to our seniors, we put them part of our senior program.
Super. All righty. Very good. So roll call, please.
Mr. Gottner.
Yes.
Mr. Tackett.
Yes.
Mr. Best.
Yes.
Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Donaldson.
Yes.
All right, we have the chief's report.
Yeah, I changed my format a little bit here. Kind of bear with me on this. You got your overviews, you've already did that. We had a meeting with, I sat on the chair as the Fire EMS Report Writing Committee. Firehouse is the current software that we use. So far, it's not MSERS compliant with the state of Ohio. The group and I are working together to, we went through 32 different vendors. We're going to narrow down to 3, bring them in and get a price, and we're going to write a grant to the Foundation for Lake Health to see if we can get them. They won't fund it, but they'll seed the process. Hopefully we can come up with a price where we get the first and second year paid for through the foundation before the fire departments have to pick up their yearly fee on that. But we are still with the firehouse until the end of 2017. They have not breached their contract. Sometimes it's hard to explain to some of the fire chiefs. Until they break the contract, we can't get out of that contract. And everybody in the county is in the same the majority, I should say, because there's a few that have a different software that they use. Mentor's doing a grant for the air truck. Lieutenant Fallheimer sent the information for me the other day. Chief McDonald is going to do the grant for the other air truck. We still feel that 2 air trucks in the county is the best thing for the county. He's going to try it through that local government fund grant that they had. So he's going to go back through there. We had, as I told you in the last meeting, Representative Rogers and the staff from that grant that oversees that, and we hit them pretty hard. Why nobody in the northeast end of Ohio got no money, so hopefully it'll be better for us as we go along. I'm currently working on putting in for a FEMA grant for a fire engine to replace our oldest engine. You saw the safer grant, we were turned down for that. That's all right, we'll try it again, see what happens. The drug-free workplace has been completed, all the training for everybody. The report has been sent to the BWC. Lieutenant Fallhammer took care of that. Lucas device. It's a good thing, we talk about the physio control maintenance agreement. And a lot of people say, it's a lot of money. Well, one of our new guys we hired, mention his name, he's already been talked to. We had a full arrest that we worked on, he cleaned it with the garden hose, and ended up with $2,400 of repair, which was covered under the maintenance. So he's been advised not to use, you're not supposed to use any type of pressure water on the Lucas devices. Let's see. We received our new Life Pack 15 from Lake Health. It's been serviced, it's been tested, it's on one of the vehicles. I sent a thank you letter for the board and fire department and myself to Lake Health, thanking them for their gracious donation. In November, we'll be doing PMP drill training here for all shifts. This will be where the guys have to go out and actually cover certain areas, simulating that they're broadcasting to either stay and shelter in place or leave. So that'll be part of the 3-day presentation in November that we have to do. I was going to tell you there's no flyers or FIU or call-outs. We had our FIU meeting on Monday, the 10th. Pretty good training. We went over burn patterns. Chief Huffman did a really good job with that. But we did have a fire today. You saw, I paged you guys, it was 531 North Lake. That was Mr. Gehring's office. The fire was contained to the bathroom on the first round. Problem that we had with it, that was a dig. Problem that we had is some of these fires that we get, some of the older homes have blown-in insulation. You see, I know you guys have seen that. That's a real challenge for the fire departments because once the fire starts on that, it gets down and it goes in different directions. We originally, when we left the first time, we went about 3 foot in each direction. And unfortunately, about an hour later, she called us back because it was smoldering again, so we went another 3 foot. It's a challenge with that. The only way to really do that anymore is to get a shop vac and suck it all out so you can see. You try to go as far as wherever you see the burn, and whenever that stops, you should be safe. But blown-in insulation is just a challenge. And the newer stuff that they have coming out today is not any better either. MSARS was in. They did repairs and maintenance work on all of our cots and the power loaders. They had to come back and hit one of the squads and 2122's power loader. Everything's all back in service with that. I'm still waiting for the chief from Mountainville to come up and get 2 life packs that are on my floor in my office. He's supposed to come get that here. I have to follow up and see when he's coming. We put the customer, when we did the training, we talked about customer service and all that. We put the survey back into, well, it was never taken out of play, but we're kind of pushing it now to get the customer survey out to our community whenever we have a run there, because as Lieutenant Baker brought up in the training and Firefighter Roth, if somebody had a good feeling with us the first time, why not let them have a second good feeling filling out the customer survey? So we're going to push those for a while. So we had some street closures. They're back open. There was a little issue on Cleveland Avenue. Lieutenant Baker followed up with that with the township police. So far, I think that's kind of resolved itself. I talked about there'd be some overtime. In your inspection packet, you got that. There's a couple things I want to bring up here. 67, 69 Middle Ridge. Lieutenant Fallhammer found online that they were looking to do a overnight stay, and when we did some follow-up on research on the online, they were talking about serving food and stuff like that at this place and charging us $129 per person. So I had to go down and follow up with it. We started the process, and then Lieutenant Sopko and Lieutenant Henry followed up with Larry, the guy from the township. Frank Waller. Sorry about that. Frank. They all went and had a meeting along with, I think the health department was there too. Had a meeting with the gentleman about, it's not zoned for that, a few other things and safety violations. So he has been following the rules, not having anybody in there, plus we've been following up on the weekends, and I haven't found anybody staying or being in there other, that they're working on, yes. So, I think the 3 lieutenants that took care of that, and I know that Frank was very grateful, from the township as well, because that could be an issue with zoning, because they only have so much right, so much push. So with the fire department behind them and the health department, we can push them a little farther to stop it.
Yeah, your authority's a lot better than the township zoning authority, especially if they start occupying the building.
The Union Hall, the old Union Hall up on 20, that was bought by somebody that opened a Halloween store. I saw that being mentioned on Facebook and followed up with that. Lieutenant Scott will make sure that she got all the permits and the process is going right. He also did, they're doing an inspection with Matlack. Apparently the school bus garage is going to be taking over that. We've had a couple of requests for plan review, one of them which is the Verizon phone tower. They're going to be doing an upgrade on that. And we had a meeting with Parkway. Lieutenant Baker went for me on this one. They're going to do a replacement of a roadway culvert on Parkway. Where was that? And then should be the last of that. Oh, yeah, this for the township trustees. 6797 Chapel Road, the old Texaco. We've had some inquiries about Buster and any things in the past there, so just so you know.
You're talking about, not the Texaco,
The
the old
muffler
Ohio.
station.
Oh,
Well, it
the
was
muffler stations,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a Texaco.
Yeah, that was, somebody did some inquiring on EPA, so just so you know.
God, I wish
You want
they
to
did.
pass that on to,
The place across the street that's the problem.
yeah, I know. That, there hasn't been anybody asking about
Still
that.
gas.
If that one comes up, I know, I'll let you know, because I
Yeah,
know
I've been-
we were trying to deal with that before.
Yeah.
All right, next topic is vehicle maintenance. We've run into a couple issues with the roll-up doors on our engines. It started with 2113, or no, I'm sorry, 2123. No, I'm sorry, 2113, the engine. We found that there's 2 14-inch nylon straps that are part of the spring that roll up here as the door goes up and down. Apparently those straps now, we had to purchase some new ones. They've been remanufactured because now they break. Well, since that one, we've had 3 other doors break, so we bought 10 of the straps, so we're good right now. Lieutenant Henry, farmer, takes care of that, he does a really good job with that. And we had some problems with a few of the electrical plugs, the road grind getting into them and causing some issues there. So 23's at Countryside because of the breaker box and a few other things underneath there were corroded. They did some of this work on 13 underneath because it's all open underneath. I don't know why when you build a truck here in Ohio, especially in northeast Ohio, why you would have anything exposed like that. But I've asked them not to put metal junction boxes built with plastic. This way they don't corrode and fall apart. Next topic is public education. We've been out to a few different places for 5K runs. The next one is Rabbit Run Theater on October 30th. They have a 5K. We'll have a squad there to help out. We've been doing that for the last 6 years, as I know, since I've been here. And the schools have been getting their public fire prevention in the last couple of weeks. I think this is the last week of it. But that's something, we try to push that all year long. And then the last topic is the levy. So far, things are going pretty good. Signs are out. We ordered some more of those. We had mass mailing go out. So far, everything's looking pretty good. We've got people signing up for the polls. Hopefully, come November, the citizens of Madison will grant us the 2 mil levy. Other than that, that's all I have for this year.
Chief, when did you send the mailing out?
And it's going out in the next day or so.
Oh, okay.
We got a little bit behind
I'm
that.
getting one, okay.
And that's all I have.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll follow up to one of the things the chief said. The PNPP robbery program, transportation, is that done on a ship or is there overtime for it?
No, that's not true. The guy's on
Is there any compensation from the carrier for doing that before?
Never had, it's never been on. No, Jerome comes out, does his There's trainings every year, brings lunch and all that. And this year, it's a simulation of going out and driving around. Actually, he'll pick a few areas and they'll go out with the vehicles and do that.
Okay, thank you.
Next year's the actual graded drill, where it will be more involved.
That's the primary response to Madison, brother.
Well, we're first in also,
I
but
think
that's,
that has that.
yeah, you get in route alerting, a few other things.
Okay.
Is this something that has to be done every year?
Every year.
Every year.
And there's times that we're first in, instead of Perry going in into the power plant, we're first in.
Gotcha.
Then Painesville Township takes their turn.
Gotcha.
Any questions for the chief? No? No? Thanks, chief. Okay, we're in the closing public portion. Anybody has anything to say to the board, or comments or otherwise? Please come forward or state your name, address, and otherwise so we can have it for the record.
Dave Winkleman, 444 Ocala. Obviously, I haven't been here for a while, so I just had one question. Has there been any, with the last meeting before the levy, so I'm just curious if there's been any, at the last few meetings, if you guys have, planning wise, as far as, pass or fail kind of thing? Like if it does, I know I saw a video that what was gonna happen, or what, if the levy passes, there's equipment that needs to be purchased, so on and so forth, but, was there any, have you guys gotten any kind of a plan for, like, pass or fail kind of a thing, or?
Well, I know we haven't put anything like we did for what happens if it passes, because we didn't want to scare the people or try to threaten them or take them as a threat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If it doesn't pass, we're going to lay out this many people or cut out this many. So we try to stay away from the negative part of that. But we have, part of the plan that we put together for passing, we did have a lot of conversation about if it didn't pass, and we have all those things that's still left that we could do if it fails.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
thank you.
Okay, thanks, Craig.
I'd like to thank Baker for putting that out. Good job. Came to that one, last one you did. Outstanding. You got the point across like you did. Thank you for doing it. I'm sorry? No, he did good. Very good.
Thank Dave Dibble for, Dave Dibble.
Yeah, he videoed that, and you.
Yeah, we should make that part of the meeting too, to thank him for
Right.
sat here and
Right.
video recording the whole thing live while he did that.
But I'd like to thank both of you guys. Good job. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other closing board comments?
One, Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
earlier the chief had talked about in the committee reports that there's this ongoing insurance group, and it's still short one person. I'm the only one who said I would be part of that, and I prefer not to be the only one. Do you still want to have a board presence on that insurance group meeting if you think that's important? And if we do we have somebody else also do that?
I'll do it with you.
Okay.
Would you guys both feel
Is that-
comfortable doing
is that
that,
acceptable?
and the men don't have a problem?
That's up to you, unless Ken wants to do it.
Oh, I got enough going right now.
Okay.
I'm good. See, you're learning. You're learning.
All right, it's good with the board.
Very good, so there we are.
If it's good with the board, it's fine with me.
This is the same case last time.
Double, yeah, it was
Okay,
double.
just to let you know.
Yeah, I had one.
I haven't set a date, because we're still waiting for
We're waiting the numbers to come
the
down.
numbers to come in.
Okay.
No, I just had a question or two, because I was doing some research this week, and I stopped down at Station 2 last week one day, and I wanted to go inside, look around, and the doors were all locked, and I wasn't sure how to get inside, so I didn't, but I walked around the outside of the building, and I know it's a bad time to talk about building repairs and what have you, especially in light of our money situation, but if and when we pass this levy, we do need to do, and I don't know what kind of capital plan, or if anybody's looked at the outside of that building, but there are a couple little maintenance items there that really need to be addressed. The one that jumped out at me that we might want to look at before winter, though, is the back overhead doors of the station. And it's probably a Pete Lincoln question, but I noticed that there's a lintel above those doors, and that lintel's actually got a bit of a sag in it, and there's about a 3/4 inch gap between the brick and the lintel, where water might be coming inside there. I don't know if there is or isn't, because I couldn't see the inside, but the lintel
It's
actually,
been there for a while.
the lintel's not looking real good, and obviously obviously, if we can pass this levy, we should be looking at that a little bit. There's just some tough point. And again, I was doing some research this week, and I didn't realize that they started building that building in 1953, and the township didn't actually build it. I don't know if you know that.
It was something before.
It was built by fire, a group of people. They actually had like a fire association, and those guys built that building. They started building it in '53, and they actually sold it to the township trustees in 1956 for like $6,200 and some dollars. That's what they paid for that building when they bought it. But, you know, we're talking about a 60-year-old building, and it's not in bad shape, but I did see some things that if we have the money next year, obviously, there's a lot of priorities, but probably gonna have to look at addressing a couple of them, because I didn't realize that the building was that old. I knew it was old. I remember it was there when I was a youngster, but I didn't realize they started building it in 1953.
And they put a roof on it in,
15 years ago.
15 years.
Yeah, they added that whole vinyl and the roof area and all that.
Yeah, all the
At
truss
one time, it was,
popped.
yeah, it used to be a flat roof, I remember that. That was just a comment I had, because I just walking around the outside of the building, just looking at it. So there are some things that are gonna have to be
Windows
addressed.
too. Windows need replaced.
You know, that's something perhaps for a block grant or something like that.
township give us some CDBG.
That's what I'm talking about.
Actually,
Yes,
I think the fire district has to apply for that. I don't think we can. I can find out, but I think.
Are we allowed to apply for that? I thought
Your
they were-
your governmental entity.
Excuse me?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay. Anybody have a comment that I think everybody's tried hard to try and get this thing passed, and wish the best of luck to the whole thing. And we just got to keep beating bushes out there, and I think that we can get this passed. I haven't heard a lot of negative about it. I mean, a lot of positive, and I guess if we work together, we can make this work, and that's what we've proven, I believe. And I'm just going to show my fellow trustees that we have a sign-up sheet here for working the polls, if anybody would like to. We'd love to have it. Okay.
I'll be serving coffee all day too.
Oh, yeah.
Coffee.
It's decaf for me, okay? You don't want me on a coffee. All right, very good. I've had a request for executive session at this point, and it will be for board members and legal only. And I don't believe there will be any further business, but there could be. Yeah, and our purpose will be for discipline
And compensation.
and compensation. So there could be a little bit afterwards, so I believe we have some unfinished business that we need to take care of. Okay, so with that, we'll have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
And a second, please.
A second.
All right. And roll call, please.
Mr. Takacs?
Yes?
Mr. Best?
Yes.
Mr. Wayman?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Donaldson?
Yes.
Mr. Gottman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Please.